and it shall be if you diligently obey the voice of Yahweh your Elohim to guard and do all his commands, which I command you today, that Yahweh your Elohim shall set you high above all the nations of the earth, and all these blessings shall come upon you and overtake you if you obey the voice. But guess what? You're not going to obey the voice if you don't have the fear. Because fear leads to obedience. The only other reason you will obey is because you agree. Because then it's really not obedience. You're just doing it because you want to do it anyway. By the way, let me point out again, because it's always good to point these out. Submission, and it's not just for ladies, by the way. All of us need to learn to submit. We all have to submit to Yahweh. We all have to submit to Yeshua. Submission is only a word that applies when you're doing what you don't agree with and don't want to do. If you desire it, want it, and agree, it's not submission. You're just agreeing. So if I want you to do something and you are supposed to be submitting to my authority and you agree with me, that's not submission. And so you go ahead and you do it. No, it's when you don't agree with me or you don't want to do it or whatever, then it becomes a submission opportunity. So until you disagree, there's no submission. So please, wives, stop telling your husbands you're submissive if you only do it when you agree with them. That's not submission. It doesn't count. Men, don't think you're submissive to leadership if you're only doing it when the men that you're submitting to are in line with what you want. It doesn't come into play until you disagree, until it's not what you would rather do. Now, by the way, it's also not submission if you do it with a look on your face like you're sucking on a pickle and griping and moaning behind their back and all of that stuff. That's not submission either. Okay, submission is, I'm going to do it with a smile on my face, trusting that you are supposed to be the one in charge. I'm supposed to follow, and I'm going to let you lead and trust in all that, and not be grudging and whining and complaining and griping and blah, blah, blah. That's when we come into submission. So when he's saying here, look, he says, all these blessings are going to come upon you and overtake you if you obey the voice. It's the same thing here. He doesn't want obedience, kicking and screaming and whining and moaning and groaning. He wants us, like when Diane said during the prayer time, he wants us to realize that we get to do these things. We are blessed because we know about these things and we get to do them. We have the opportunity. What a great opportunity it is to do what he wants us to do. Not have to, and I don't want to, blah, blah, blah. I can't believe he wants me. I don't really want to do that. I don't like that. But we do that all the time. We whine, we complain, we gripe. It's terrible. And so that's not submission, and that's not showing the right fear. If you have fear, you have no submission issues at all. And so guess what, wives? You have no fear of your husband if you're whining and complaining. Husbands, when the leadership comes to you, if you're whining and complaining, there's no proper fear of that leadership. Fear is an awe, reverence, and respect. We need that for all leadership as it goes up the chain. The men who rebelled against Moses had no fear of Moses because they weren't respecting his authority. Okay? And so it has to do with that proper respect. So we do the same thing to Yahweh.